I was able to book someone who's out of Andrea. She's from Canada, and I believe she'll be a great speaker. She's written a book or two as well. Her near-death experience was very intense, and I'm looking forward to present her. She's anxious also to speak for us. And that's all we have for June.
So July is open.
Yeah, July, August, September, October, November, December are open.
Oh, wow.
Okie doke.
So I did begin recording so that we could capture our speaker for next time, if you'd like to get started with our meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to present Lisa. Lisamarie. She is a wonderful person, and I believe that her experience is going to be very interesting. I've actually had a chance to meet her. She came to the house, and did you walk the labyrinth? I don't know.
No, we were too busy talking.
We were doing it, but it was nice to have met you, and we've been in touch ever since. All
That's
right.
right.
Well, I mean, what can I say about you? You are an experiencer, and I would like for you to begin in details of what your experience was. You have about 45 minutes, and then you will have another 10, 15 minutes for people to ask you questions. And I would appreciate if everybody just respects her speaking without interruptions as well. Thank you. Welcome, Lisamarie.
Thank you, Tina. So I had 2 NDEs back to back, 2 nights in a row. At the time, I was very sick with Lyme disease, and I had a lot of complications from that, and I'd been sick for years. And I was having a problem with holding cortisol in my body. So my cortisol kept dropping at very dangerous levels and was causing serious situations with life or death situation. So that's what caused the NDEs. But the night that the first one happened, I was sitting right in this chair, my favorite chair in my living room, my leather chair. And all of a sudden I was hearing this whooshing sound in my body, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And it was getting louder and louder. And so I had called my doctor, and they said, maybe it's your blood pressure or something like that. So I went over to the CVS and went on their blood pressure machine, and it was fine. And I came home, and a few hours later, I went to go to bed, and this whooshing was getting worse and worse. And then I was feeling like lighter and lighter and lighter until I was just out of my body. And at that point, at the beginning, I was in and out of my body. So there was a lot of things going on where I was being touched by spirit beings. And I was laying on my back, and one spirit being touched me like this on the palm of my hand. It's very sensitive here. So I had one divine being back here. And then I had, I sensed all of a sudden, I suddenly just felt like I was going out of my body and turning into love. And that's when I felt Jesus come down and just had this motion like, no, it's not time, that type of thing. So he started performing what I felt like it was a miracle, performing a healing on my body in the core of, it's a very unusual NDE. I might want to add to this. from underneath my ribs down to my lower torso. He was performing this, like he was trying to keep me from dying and repairing my organs, because I felt like my organs were shutting down. And he started doing this healing on me. At the same time, I can't describe in human words the divine energy that was coming from him, because it's like this electromagnetic energy that is not of this realm, like from another realm. So that was going on. At the same time, on the left side of me, I felt a male energy that was huge. I'd say about 12 to 15 feet tall. And at the time, I never believed in angels with wings or anything like that. But I knew that this divine being had humongous wings that fill. I mean, I have a big bedroom. It's about 20 by 20, but these wings were filling up at least 3/4 of my room. And so I noticed that. So he was coming through, like I said, I was going in and out of my body, so I could still feel at times a physical sensation at that point. And I felt him coming through, his spirit coming through my body. At the same time, this other one was here, who I don't know who that was. And Jesus was here. I couldn't tell you what he looked like his eyes or anything, just because there was like a blinding light and all this energy just so bright in the room. So I just knew with the knowing and the knowledge who it was and what was going on. So as this healing was taking place, I kept hearing over and over from what sounded like a chorus of angels speaking. And they were saying, "This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." They said it so many times. I was thinking to myself, when are they going to stop saying that? I mean, this was going on for hours of our time here. So, I think my body at that time was in such bad shape, and they were trying to restore it to keep me from dying at the time. So they kept repeating this. At the same time, there were so many things going on at once, because now I'm in another realm, in and out of the realms. And I personally started speaking in another language. That was not a language from here. It was from the other side. I can't tell you what that was. It was fluent. I was speaking it, and at the time I felt like I was praying along with the chorus of angels that was saying, "This is the day that the Lord has made. So let us rejoice and be glad in it." So whatever language I was speaking at the moment, I was thinking like I was praying with them. I was speaking their language in some way. And as I'm in my own mind, I'm having these realizations. I'm thinking, first of all, it was no shock to me, because I had spent over 30 years as a spiritualist. I've been meditating for over 30 years with transcendental meditation, the advanced form. So I had spent about 25 years nearly enlightened. So to me, I'd been touched by spirits before, and I'd had a lot of spiritual experiences. So it wasn't a shock that this was going on, or that there was an afterlife, or that I was getting this healing. So I was just receiving it and just trying to take note of everything that was going on, because I wanted to remember it and let everybody know, because I was in such awe while it was going on. But there had to be I don't know, 30 things going on at once. I was speaking the other language. As soon as I would leave my body, I remember I just turned into love, the greatest love that you can imagine, a love that we don't have here. The only way I could describe it is meeting your soulmate and you're on cloud 9. Now multiply that by 100,000. The euphoric happiness that I felt was not of this world. And the love I felt was not of this world. At the same time, I was thinking all these things like I felt that I was one with God or one with the source because I felt it physically, like a drop of water going into an ocean, and that drop of water just becomes one with the ocean, or that God or the source was a tree trunk and I was a branching off of that. I was a part of it, but I felt it in a very physical way. You know, we hear all these things as we're growing up, or we read it in the Bible, or we read it somewhere, God is love. But when you experience that love, that intense, immense love from the other side, it puts it in a different perspective. When you feel it physically and you experience that love and that euphoric happiness and the peace I felt was, I remember thinking to myself, because immediately when I went out of my body, the weight of the world fell off of me. There were no more negative emotions. It was only love, peace, and bliss consciousness. That's all I felt. There was no thought of, although I did think of my lifetime because it went by me as quick as I could snap my finger. I was like, wow, my life really didn't mean much. So at that moment, I was thinking, I must have had many lifetimes, that this is just one of the many. Hopefully I'm at the end of it. I don't know. But I remember thinking, wow, that life went by so fast. It really, wow, that was one of my thoughts. I also remember thinking that now that I listen to, after those experiences, I listen to NDEs now, and I hear people saying that they lost their identity. And I didn't feel like I lost my identity. I felt like I was my best self. Me, without any worry, without thinking about the clock and circadian rhythms of my body and everything that we have to worry about when we're on earth in this earthly body and how the body functions. There's no worries about that anymore. So that's a relief. At least for me, it was. So I felt just the weight of just this being in the body. It just fell off of me. And I remember being in that bliss consciousness and thinking, this is why people come back and do it again, because I felt so great and so void of the pressures of the earth and the earthly body and all that I was ready to come back. I could still see it now. I was ready to come back and say, I'm going to go down there and I'm going to be the warrior and I'm going to make my life difficult. As you know, I'm going to elevate make more spiritual evolvement for myself. I remember thinking that. And this is why people come back here to do it again, because you feel that great, that love, that peace, and that euphoric, blissful happiness is something that is so incredible and unforgettable. I think about it every day. And this happened back in 2017. I think it's going on 6 years now. So it's you don't forget it. So while all this was going on, I was also getting a lot of downloads of people in my life and why I had to be in their life and why they were in my life. One of them was one of my longtime friends who's got a lot of issues. And Jesus told me that I can take breaks, but I couldn't get rid of this particular person, that this person didn't have, his parents had passed away and didn't have any siblings. And I was there to be like a family. We were like family to one another. And there were a lot of lessons that needed to be learned, and that I could take breaks, but I had to still be there for certain reasons. I had messages for a disabled friend of mine who's a medium. I had messages for her, a lot of messages for her. While all this was going on, I was able to be physically, but yet in my spirit form in a friend's house. And while I was in that loving state, I'll never forget, I was saying to this person, what can I do for you? I was just wanted to do anything because I was in this loving state of being, because that's who we are when we're outside of our bodies. We're spiritual beings. That's who we really are. And then we have this human experience. I have that in my email, at the bottom of my email, that little quote. And we are truly just love and perfection and bliss consciousness, and here to learn these lessons, and for whatever reasons. And we all have our own personal journey. And I was not shown a life review. I was shown a future life review of my own future. So now the video clips are starting, and I'm watching myself. That was very cool. And the first thing I thought was, I was giving these lectures or seminars or whatever, which I didn't do at the time. And I'm watching myself from whatever view you can call that. I don't know what you call that, 360 view. And I'm watching, and first thing I thought was, oh yes, I'm going to be a size 5 again. That was the first thing I thought. I'm going to be skinny again, because I'd gained some weight from being sick and being so sedentary for so long. So that was the first thing I thought. And then as I hear myself speaking, there was this theme about the speaking engagements. And the theme was hope. And Jesus said, you have to give them hope. You must give them hope. And it was all about healing and how people could heal. Sick people can heal, and they didn't have to suffer. And, people have to have faith. It was that type of thing. And, about spirituality and that type of stuff. So the second thing I thought was, gee, what are those words I'm speaking? There were some words that I didn't even understand. They were so high tech. I thought, gee, I sound so intelligent. Where did I get that from? So I guess I thought to myself, I guess I'm going to learn that in the future, because I knew what I was watching was the truth, because the other side is only truth and knowledge. So I was thinking, gee, I guess I'm going to be learning a lot. I don't know where I'm going to learn it, but there were a lot of words. I'd say about 10 words that I didn't know what the meaning was. I didn't know what the words meant. The other thing was, so I was watching the video clips. This went on for a long time. It even went on after the NDEs happened. It went on for 14 days after that. That was very cool. I wish I could have still had that. So all this was going on, I also felt the presence of Mother Mary in the room. This ironically happened on Easter weekend, 2 nights in a row. Just ironically. So that's the main part of the NDE. The same exact thing happened the following night at the same exact times. This was going on from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. The healing going in and out of my body. And it happened 2 nights in a row. And after that, the doctor wanted me to be in the hospital, and she said, your organs were shutting down. And I said, I refused. I refused any type of medical care, because after talking to Jesus and him telling me that I was going to be healed of everything, that's where my mind was. That's where my soul was at that time. And I made my decisions at that time by what he was telling me, which I knew was the truth. And so after those 2 days, for 14 days afterwards, I was in a state of extreme enlightenment, and I still wasn't totally integrated into my body, I should say. I wasn't totally back in. During the NDEs, both times, when I was being pushed back into my body, it felt like, if anybody knows that old show, I Dream of Jeannie, she has that bottle she goes into. And that's what it felt like to me, that I was being squished into that skinny neck bottle. And after being so expanded and having that expanded consciousness and being free and large, and a feeling of I felt at that moment, as I was out of my body, just as powerful as the divine beings that were with me. I have to say that. But when I was being pushed back into my physical body, it was uncomfortable. It felt like trying to squish something so large into that little neck bottle. And it felt like, and I was getting heavier and heavier and heavier, because I was light as a feather. And now I'm getting heavier, and it's getting darker and heavier and more limited, because now I was out of that expanded consciousness where it was just unlimited consciousness. And now I'm going back into this physical brain that is so limited. The best way I could describe it. So for 14 days afterwards, I could see everything that was going on. I had a vision clearly of a friend of mine. He was washing his car in his driveway. So I just drove over there, and he said to me, how did you know I was home? I said, well, I saw a vision of you washing your car, so I figured I'd just come over. So things like that were happening, and I was one with everything. The dogs were following me, and it was almost like I could communicate with them, and babies would just calm down in a second when I would hold them. And it was really beautiful, beautiful, beautiful experience. And for those 14 days, I was still seeing those video clips that I saw in the NDEs of myself. And no matter what I was doing, I could be cleaning the house, I could be concentrating on my clients, or I'm writing something, I'm concentrating on something totally different, and I could not control these video clips. It was like in my mind's eye. During the NDEs, I saw the video clips on this side of my head. When I was after that, I saw it kind of like here and here, but I could still see the video clips. And I'm like, why am I still seeing that over and over and over for 14 days? I'd say I was seeing them a good 6-7 times a day for 14 days. So 3 weeks after the NDEs, I was going to help a friend of mine who's a medium. She was going to have a gallery reading. She's disabled, so I was just going to help her out. And I invited 2 of my girlfriends to come. I got them tickets. So last minute, everything got changed around. And my friend was sick. So they had this, I called the place and they said, oh, we got this other medium and she's great. Her name is Celeste. And I said, okay, well, what am I going to do? I got to go because I got my friends tickets and they're excited. So I was like, okay, whatever. This has got to be happening for a reason. So the place is about a half hour away from my house. And as I'm driving there, I'm getting downloads and I'm hearing, this is for you, Lisamarie. The change all happened for a reason. And she's going to tell you more about what happened during your NDEs. And she's going to wait to the end. I knew everything that was going to happen during this gallery reading. That's all I know. And I was getting the downloads the whole ride to the conference center. So I get there and I tell my friends, listen, this is how it's going to go because they told me. And I told them that she's going to wait to the end and this and that. And that's exactly the way it went. And she came up to me. And at the time, you know, I looked healthy. After being really sick. And she comes up to me, this Celeste, and I got one friend on this side. I was so glad that they witnessed this. And I was taping it on my phone. And when it got to that part where she started talking about Jesus, the taping stopped, ironically. So she comes up to me and she says, she said, Jesus is here to talk to you. And I'm just very matter of fact, because I know this just happened to me a few weeks prior. So I'm like, yep, I knew this was going to happen. Yes. And she says, he's telling me that you were very sick. I said, yeah, I was very sick. And she's looking at me and she's saying, you don't look sick. And she says, he's telling me that he healed you. And I said, yeah, he did. And then she starts talking about Archangel Michael. I says, oh, the mystery is solved. She says, she started talking about Archangel Michael assisted Jesus. And I said, yeah, that makes sense because I knew that was a male energy and the man behind me was going through my body. And she said something, I'm not using the proper words, but she said something to the effect like, well, Archangel Michael didn't mean to freak you out in any way. He was just trying to heal you. Because I did have a feeling when he was going through my body that obviously he sensed that I was thinking, what is going on here? So he came to talk to me about it. So, and I was like, yes, the wings, they were huge. It was him. So, and the only thing I asked her, she gave me all the information. The only thing I asked was who was touching my hand. And she said that was Archangel Raphael or Gabriel, one of those. And so she was just talking. She said, Jesus said he healed you because of your faith. And I did. I still have, of course, very strong faith, but I knew he had healed me for that reason. So that's basically it. I got it. I'm trying to think of something else I could think of, but that's the main story of my NDEs. The thing afterwards is I'm dealing since then. I always was a healer. I always did healings. I've always been highly spiritual for many years, but what changed was the healing got more prominent, became more prominent for me. It was definitely meant for me to do more of that and have all my work be of a spiritual nature. So then I became a reverend. I went to the seminary and became a reverend. And you know, the rest is history. Now, the last couple of years, things have just been unfolding of what was shown to me during my NDEs. And here I am. And so does anybody have any questions?
Okay, David?
Yes, I have a question. Oh, by the way, I always appreciate your support on my comments and so forth on the Facebook groups. You mentioned another language, and I wanted to kind of get a feel if it was the same I heard from other near-death experiencers. Was it nonverbal, mind-to-mind, impossible to have a misunderstanding, nonlinear, a lot of information at once, and a familiar language to you?
The language I knew was a language that was familiar to me somewhere. I remember thinking that when it was happening.
Mm.
I knew it was familiar. I hear people talking. People have asked me, was she speaking Aramaic or the light language? I don't have an answer for that. But it was a language that at the time physically felt like I'd been there, and it was a normal language for me, even though I don't know it in this lifetime. You know, I couldn't tell you what it was, but it was highly spiritual. Highly spiritual.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Jack?
Yes, Lisamarie, your conversations that took place, were they telepathic?
Everything when I was outside of my body was telepathic, totally.
Okay.
There was nothing outwardly. It was all outwardly audible. It was all telepathic. Yes. Very clearer than what we experience here in the physical body of somebody, clearer than, and all the knowledge was there for me on my spiritual journey. You know, the other thing I forgot to mention was while I was watching myself with the talks I was doing, watching the video clips, I said a few off-color words. And I went like this to Jesus, and I was like, what's up with that? Because at the time, I did not have off-color words. And he said to me, and people give me a lot of slack about this, he said to me, you're too pure. Because I'd lived, you know, spiritual life. I was practically enlightened, and there's a purity, that deep level of spirituality. There's a purity there that only deeply spiritual people understand. So I understood everything he said to me. He said, you're too pure. And he said, you need to relate to the people on earth and their problems. And he said, this is all about humor. When you're doing, you know, when he's talking about the talks, he said, when you're doing the talks, he didn't use these words. These are my words. In other words, what I understood of it was when I was doing these talks or healing people or doing spiritual counseling, which I do now, he said that you have to bring humor to it, which I understand. And he wanted me to be able to relate. He said the suffering I went through years of suffering with that illness of Lyme disease, which really knocked me for a loop because I had optimal health before that and a very strong spiritual path. So I was like, how can I help people if I'm sick? You know, I'd already been serving mankind. I thought that's what my purpose was. So he said to me, you chose the path of compassion, and it's a hard path. So without that suffering, I would never know what chronic pain was, or chronic fatigue, or depression, or all these things or why people may turn to painkillers and get addicted to them. You know, or drank alcohol, because I never drank alcohol or anything like that. So I understood what he meant, because it was I knew what was going on in my life and I understood it. So it was telepathy.
So, I'm trying to, I've never experienced the telepathic communication. So, when you're communicating telepathically, are you just having kind of an understanding of what is being conveyed to you, or was it in terms of language being conveyed to you telepathically?
It's like I even now, especially since the NDEs, I channel information. I could be with a client. I worked with somebody that was very despondent and suicidal. And I tried to push him off to somebody else because because I knew he was friends of a friend, and I just thought there was a conflict of, a conflict there. And but she wasn't available, so it came on me, and I said, well, there's got to be a reason for this. So anyway, while I was counseling him, I just started channeling information. So that information comes from the other side, my guides or whoever, and it's like somebody's talking to me, but it's my own thoughts. But I've learned over the years to know that it's just not my own brain thinking something wild. I know when it's coming from a divine source.
Okay.
There's an urgency to it. Sometimes I start speaking a little bit different. It just comes out really fast. My words may come out fast, and I can tell now that it's a message, and it's a message that has to be sent to this person. I don't call myself a medium. I'm not a medium, but sometimes people's relatives may pop in or something if it's, but I don't call myself a medium. But the voice is like my own voice in my head. That's the best way I could describe it. But it's when divine beings are speaking to me, it's profound. They don't go on and on and on and on. It's either 2 words or a sentence and that's it, but it's profound. And it's so profound, it heals that person that I'm dealing with. I'll give you an example. I had COVID 5 months ago or so. And up until then, I really didn't think I was going to get COVID because I hadn't gotten it. So I didn't give it much thought. And then all of a sudden I got this urgency, and this voice in my head was saying, get prepared, get prepared. And I was feeling it stronger and stronger and stronger. There's a strength and an urgency that comes from the other side that it's hard to describe. It can be annoying. So I kept hearing that, and I know that they were trying to warn me, and they were telling me to get prepared with, I do Ayurveda. So I think they were just trying to tell me to get prepared with my Ayurvedic medicines and get a ventilator. I was trying to avoid being in the hospital. So anyway, I knew that me and a friend of mine were going to get it because that's what I heard. So I told my friend, and he said, I'm not going to get it. I says, I'm telling you, they're telling me that me and you are going to get it. And he helped me. And then 2 weeks later, I got COVID. And so I had a 2-week preparation time. And I said, that particular friend helped me. And I just prayed. I said, God, please don't let him get COVID from me, because he's helping me. Thank God he didn't. And I still said, you're going to get COVID. He said, no, I'm not going to get COVID. I didn't get it from you. 3 weeks later, he got COVID. I said, I told you, they're never wrong. It's only the truth. So it's a voice in my own head that is my own thinking. But it's just like when I explained how source or God, that God light, I was a part of that. So that's the best way I could explain it to you was these thoughts are intertwined with that. It's one. It's that God or divine source with my own, intertwined with my own higher self, I should say, my higher self, which is my soul. The best way I could describe it.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Any other? Okay, Laurie, go ahead.
I had to put my mic on. Lisa
Laurie.
Marie, thank you so much
Hi,
for
John.
sharing your story. It was just beautiful to hear all that
Thank
you
you.
experienced. I myself became very sick, possibly from Lyme, and they say they go together, Lyme and mold. So I'd been bitten by 2 ticks, and I moved into a home that had 4 water leaks and got mold. But like you, I was very sick for many years. I had gained a lot of weight. I wasn't well. And I had this feeling before my NDE that I was told to heal myself with food. I kept telling my family, God is telling me to heal myself with food. So I started doing that. Ultimately, I had my NDE, and I, like you, can sense spirits now, and they give me thoughts, and they're usually just 2 words, or they're confirming the truth. Or they'll tell me something that's annoying, like you, like they kept telling me I had to get a battery for my car and go to missions. I kept hearing, go to missions first, go to missions first. I didn't listen. Went and got the battery changed, went back to missions. They said, did someone change the battery? We can't do your missions till you drive around for another 100 miles. But I heard that all the way there getting the battery was go to missions first. So
That's exactly what I get. And even for things as what we think is trivial as that, I get the same exact thing. And when I go against that, oh, I pay for it.
Exactly.
for it.
Exactly. But my question relates to, you mentioned you went to some other realms in your experience. And did you see anything or know where you were in any of these places? Can you describe any of it?
I didn't see any, cities or, I really didn't. It was all about what I felt. It was all about taking me out of my body to heal my body, my physical body, and to save it from dying. And I was being shown a stronger purpose than what I'd already lived my whole life. It was even stronger. And when I think back now, the last few years and everything I've done and how they've guided me and to different things and forced me to go get this and get that, get this credential, and because this is going to happen and you need this and you need that. It's just been amazing. Just amazing. It just, all I can tell people is to trust. You have to trust the path, your path. So no matter what's happening to me, and I have things going on a daily basis that could just drive me insane with, everything that's going on in the world and everything. And I just trust the process. I had COVID. I had it pretty bad. I said, God, or, thank you for the experience. Because that's what we're here for. We are here for the drama and suffering and learning lessons and all these things. And once you surrender to that, as soon as I said, thank you for this experience of COVID, I'm going to be able to help other people now. Because I did learn a lot of what works and what doesn't work for COVID, for my clients and for my family and friends. I was grateful for that. But I said, now it's time to come out of it, because you feel like you're never going to be well again. And, thank God, I started getting better after that. And yeah.
Were you vaccinated?
Just one more thing. You also mentioned Mother Mary. Now, I have had the experience of different spirits come to me, sometimes when I say their name, but when I listen to a certain song, Mother Mary will come to me. But do you understand it or feel it, that you can feel usually I know who it is because I've said their name. I've said Mother Mary or I've said Jesus, but each one has a different vibration when they come to you. Do you feel that in addition to that they're giving you a message, but are you able to distinguish the different levels of energy that come to you?
I am. I mean, I have so many things happening in my house. I've been having things happening for years, but more and more it's getting more. And right in the hallway here outside of my treatment room, another friend of mine witnessed another thing. And a friend of mine was helping me put some stuff in the attic. I got stairs that come from the attic down into the hallway outside my treatment room. And this white light, this was after my NDEs a few years later, a white light, not from here, from somewhere else, flashed in between us. It was huge white light. And it was the brightest white light you can imagine. There wasn't any yellow or anything in it. It was bright white, but it was also solid in a way, opaque, but solid. And it flashed enough for us to notice it and went away just as quick. So even though I've had all these spiritual experiences, I still want the proof. So he was like, "Oh my God, did you see that?" I said, "Yes, I did." So I said, "Let me just check the attic lights." So I went up the stairs. The attic lights weren't even on, but I have really bright fluorescent lights and lots of lights up in the attic. And so I flicked the switch on to turn the lights on, and they're bright up there. That couldn't even come this much close to that light that we saw. And then when we got up there, there was a light bulb that was flashing over his head. And so I said, "Well, let's get on the ladder, and it's probably just loose. The light bulb is probably loose." It wasn't loose. So it was just spirit, playing
Thank you.
games. I love that stuff. So I'm open to it. And thank God I've never had anything of a negative nature happen to me. I've been very open to spirit and the spirit world and spirituality for so many years. And it's only been, it's a lot about the truth too. The truth is always just dropped right in front of me. The truth is shown to me. And a lot of times it's because I'm on this path and the path is getting stronger and stronger. And somebody needs to be removed from my life. And they'll just drop the truth in front of me. And then, there's this change that has to happen. It's just part of what's going on in my life.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, been there. Put your sound on, please.
Okay. Can you
All
hear me
right.
now?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, Lisamarie. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hello, Lori. Thank you for your share today, Lisa.
Thank you.
Couple questions. The first one is I had a near-death experience, but not in a situation where I was dying. Though at the time I probably was. It was when I got sober 24 years ago, and it was during a meditation. I'd taken transcendental meditation in high school, and I remembered the benefits of it, and I had not meditated in many, many, many years. And while I was working the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, of course, and obviously, I wanted and I needed God's help. Was the last place that I turned. My experience was I had closed my eyes while sitting on a beach, Baker Beach in San Francisco. And I started to repeat my mantra, which I remembered. And then there was explosion or a sudden appearance of this brilliant white light, almost like a mist or a fog that I could not only see into, but it was as though I had eyes, or I could see 360 degrees. And
Yes.
and I said to myself, like when it was happening, that what is this? And at the same time, I intuitively knew or felt that it was safe, it was inviting, and that it was not of the earth. And more importantly, because of the various types of drugs I've done or did in my life, hallucinogens in particular, I knew it was not chemically induced because I was sober. And then, it was like I could see into, I won't say infinity, but I could. It was a space. Then this, I'll call it an energy. I didn't know what chakras were at the time. I was a novice when it came to spirituality, but I had something was starting in my groin, or what I now know to be my root chakra,
Yes.
and began to travel up the center of my being,
Mhm.
whether it be my spine or whether it through the center of my being. That's the only way I can put it. And as it was coming up, of course, I was like, wow, what is this? And as it was traveling up my throat and up my head, and then it was exiting the crown of my head and then veering off to my right. And then it was just a constant flow or a constant stream of whatever this was. And then as it was exiting my crown of my head, I merged or became one with or experienced or was with, well, hard to put a word on it, but it was the most powerful love I've ever experienced. And it defied words, it defied comprehension, it defied what I've experienced on this earth. And I sensed that it was timeless in its nature, infinite in its nature. It was always in a constant state of expansion and growth. In other words, the love just didn't die anywhere. It was constantly growing in its nature. And it acted, or it held within itself as attributes of that love all of the highest virtues of humankind and spirit kind: compassion, empathy, awe, wonder, beauty. I mean, the list was endless, but they were all extraordinary aspects of being. And I was just like, it was unbelievable. And then it acted like, as it was going through me, it acted like a scrub brush or a vacuum cleaner or a window wiper, and it took away everything inside me on every level that was not of its nature. So, like you were saying earlier, when you were on the other side, all the trivialities and problems and worries of the earth disappear. That's what it was like. And I remember talking to it. I didn't know. I mean, how do you talk to an experience that you've never had before. But it was so incredibly, extraordinarily beautiful that I said, and I knew, like you were saying, telepathically or intuitively, I just knew that it was going to leave at some point. And I said, don't go, please don't go, please don't go. You know, like, oh my God. And of course, it did leave. I could sense that the tail end of it was coming up and out of me and was going to go. And I literally, I got up off the beach and tried to follow it or bring it back. But along the way, towards the tail end, I was given a message. And I wish I had had a pen and paper, but I didn't. But the gist of the message was, you are so loved and you will be well.
Oh.
Now, my question is, how I have not been able to integrate that. And what I mean by that is, when you experience something that is like that is so profound, and then within oneself, a realization of, gosh, I wish I could be like that in my body and live my life on the earth like
Yes.
that.
Yes.
And, you know, I have an analogy or a metaphor analogy, you know, that I trying to explain this to people that have never had it. They can't wrap their mind around it. So I have a metaphor, or I think it's an analogy. I don't know, one or the other. But, you know, it's like, you know, the little story I have, if I have a few more moments, if I don't, I won't tell my story. But it's,
I think we have a few more. There's one other somebody has raised their hands, but
okay.
go ahead.
Well, it's like there's a small village, and in this village, all the people in it, their sustenance is dirt. That's all they eat. That's all they've ever known. That's all they've tasted. They have dirt pancakes, dirt milkshakes, dirt eggs, dirt whatever. And they put it in all different shapes. It's in the markets, but that's all they eat. And there's this little boy one day, and he's in the marketplace, and he's looking at all the dirt clods and dirt patties and everything else. And all of a sudden, standing next to him is this old man. He's got a gray hair and a crinkled face, and he's got this overcoat on, and he's got a little pipe, and he's looking at the little boy. But this man has this little twinkle in his eye, this look that the little boy can't turn away from. And the man hands him an ice cream cone. Now, this boy has never tasted anything else in his life other than dirt. And he tastes this, and the little boy's face just lights up, and he tastes sugar for the first time, and cream, and he's just like, oh my God, this is so good. And he's licking it and licking it, and the old man's just looking at him as he's enjoying it. And then the little boy comes to realization that he's almost finished eating it. And he's looking down at it, and he's at the cone, and he's just about done. And he thinks to himself, oh my God, where can I get this? And he looks up, and the old man's gone. And that's what the experience is like. So my two questions to you are this. How can we integrate that experience so that we're able to live on the earth and not keep thinking about it all the time? And that's been one of my greater challenges. And then the other question I have is, I think, or I want to believe, that experience I had in a way jump-started me out of my addiction, because literally I made changes in my life the very next day. And I wanted to know if that's something you experienced as well.
It did. I mean, yours was a little different. It sounds like you had a Kundalini experience, and and a healing and an awareness, what do you call that? Like spiritual awakening and a healing that you needed to change, your life around, which was it's a beautiful experience. How to stop thinking about that, I couldn't give you the answer for that, because I think about that all the time, except when at least I know that I am going there someday, and that there is it's gonna happen again.
That's a good thing to know.
It
You're
really
right.
comes in handy when, like, I had a friend die a few months ago from COVID, one of my best friends of 30 years, and I just concentrate on knowing how happy he is and in peace. So that's where it comes in handy. You got to think of the positive aspects of it, instead of, a lot of people get very depressed after these experiences because it's night and day. It's so different, but you can't dwell on that. You have to dwell on your purpose, dwell on that you were healed and it changed your life. I mean, your story reminds me of many people I've come across who have done this 12-step program with ACIM, A Course in Miracles. It's like they tie that in, and you could go on those groups. There's another reverend I know that has a group every week, and it's great. Seminary, and but you have to thank God for. I mean, I know God told me, I forgot to even mention this, that everything was happening on his time and not my time, because I seem to want things to happen right away. And so I kind of bargained with him and said, listen, you can't let me know something too far ahead of time. I don't want to know something a year ahead of time. Like, for instance, my cousin and his wife wanted to adopt this baby. They were doing foster care for the baby, and the mother wanted the baby back, and they had to go through all these court proceedings. And I picked up the baby one day, and I heard the baby is staying. So I couldn't tell them that. This was probably 8 months or a year before they found out that the baby was staying, but I couldn't say anything to them about it. So I kind of made this bargain, like, listen, don't let me know anything ahead of time, because then I get this urgency, like I have to give the message to whoever. So I just, after those, especially the 2 NDEs, I don't question anything anymore. You can't question it, because it's not really on your timing. It's on another planned timing, and you have to accept that. You have to have acceptance of everything that's going on, and just be grateful.
Thank you.
Be grateful.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Okay,
Thank you for your
before
story
I go
was
to
great.
Matthew and then Janice, I wanted to interject that it's been my experience after I had my NDEs, that by intention, you can go there. You can go to that space and just enjoy it. You don't have to die to go there. You do it by intention. Okay, thank you. Matthew, you're next.
Hi, Tina.
Yes, go ahead.
This is Sharon.
Oh, Sharon, okay.
Hi, Sharon.
Matthew. Hi. I
Hi.
just have a question, Lisamarie. When I was probably 17, 18, maybe 19, I had this experience that I was like, when you said genie in a bottle, it just reminded me. I remember I had an experience, but there was not a lot. Just, do you know, like a swirl ice cream with, say, chocolate and vanilla, but it's a swirl?
That's my favorite one, the twist. It's called the twist.
It's not
Because
really
I can't decide between chocolate and vanilla,
Okay.
so I get the twist, and it's
Right.
like this, and it's half and
Yes,
half.
it's like, and I use that as a descriptive for the way I felt like my body was going in so quickly like that. I was laying down, my body was just going in quickly. There was nothing else that I could see. The only thing I remember is saying, stop, no. And the experience stopped. And I remember waking up or awakening. I'm not going to say waking up, but I'll say awakening. And it felt like almost there was something that was going on that I needed to just stop. And I find there's been multiple times in my life where I've been through different things where I feel like things are moving so fast. I need to make a change. I need to stop.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, how many times have you experienced that swirl type feeling? That's the only thing I can, relate it to a swirl type feeling.
You know, I've had so many spiritual experiences. It's hard to say, but I do meditation twice a day, an hour twice a day, believe it or not. I really have to keep my vibration high because I'm working with people every day and with healing and healing with my words and things like that. So I try to keep my body as sharp as I can, especially after everything it's been through. So I keep that balance with meditation, cleansing the body. People don't know much about that. The physical body has a lot of toxins in it.
Oh, yes.
When you cleanse it, it becomes more purified, and you can get more in touch with the spirituality. There's a connection with that.
Right.
You want to get your body clean and lighter. Just lighter with an efficient digestive system and good sleep habits, going to bed early and following circadian rhythms, going to bed by 10, waking up by 6. I mean, this all balances your body out, eating pure foods. I mean, we live in a country where everything's tainted.
Right.
The water, the food, and that affects your body.
Yes, it does.
So these experiences, they come along when you least expect it.
Right. That's true.
Just
Had
come out of nowhere. And that's why God had said to me, listen, it's not on your time, because I'm always asking for things.
That's right.
I'm always asking, just appear to me in my living room. I'm always asking for something.
I know. Believe you me, I know.
But it's not on our time. And just go. You have to go through life just being in the now. That's how I describe it. Just being in the now, not worrying about what happened in the past or what's going to happen in the future. Just roll with it. And I think you can do that because I can feel your energy from here.
I knew you were going to say that too, by the way.
Yeah.
I was just getting ready to tell him, take his hand down, because I felt like you could feel, I'm telling you, I felt like you could feel my energy.
I can, and I can feel it right here, actually. It's getting stronger the more as these seconds go by. I'm really feeling you now. And that's all I want to say is just go with the flow, because you have that way about you that you can do that, where some people can't. Some people can't. They got anxiety and they're thinking, they got that mind chatter every minute of the day. But you can do that. So just stay and accept and trust. If my best advice would be to trust in the process, no matter what's happening in the world. Just trust that no matter what, let's face it, we found out we don't die. We don't die, and we're going to be okay no matter what happens. I mean, you wouldn't believe how crazy this has made me. I speed on the road like I don't care, because I know if I die, it's going to be the best day of my life. Because when I did, it was the best day of my life, and I'm looking forward to that. That's why I counsel people that are in hospice and that are dying. And they come to me and I can tell them these things. I kind of wish I was you, because that was the best day of my life.
Right.
It really was. To be in that peace and that bliss consciousness, that euphoric happiness and that love. This is just, I can't describe it in human words, It just
right.
So
I have 2 brothers going through things right now with cancer, so it helps. It helps to have that spiritualness within.
It really does, and you're there, and you're meant to be there with them at that time too. And everybody's on their path, and why I couldn't understand. It took me 4 years to have acceptance of why I'd gotten ill like that.
Took you 4 years.
4 years, I remember.
No,
Because there was so many,
you-
there were so many changes that happened, so much loss. I lost my
Wow.
memory. I lost
Oh,
my figure. I lost my memory. There was just so much, my hair. There was just a lot of loss. A lot of loss.
Well,
So-
look what you gain, right? What you gain is just
What I
invaluable.
gained was deep. I already had compassion back then, but at what level? My level of compassion is so deep now that, and I recognize it. You know, there's a diner that I go to in town, and the waitresses come up to me. They've been through some heavy stuff. They were drug addicts. The one was a drug addict. One was used to be an alcoholic, and they tell me their stories. Before, I would have thought of that differently if I hadn't suffered the way I did. I wouldn't have understood it. I wouldn't have understood their pain.
Right.
Now I get it, and I'm able to help them. And that's where, when Jesus told me what he told me, and every time this happens and I'm encountering somebody, this awe comes over me, AWE. And I go, this is what it's all about.
It's a beautiful thing.
It
really
is a beautiful thing. This thing keeps popping up on the screen. It's just a beautiful thing. And it's, I know why this had to happen to me to get to this level. You know, do I wish that I was the way I was before all that happened? Sure. Sometimes that comes into my mind.
Yeah.
But if I chose before I came here to experience this, and this, why am I questioning it? And those NDEs just put a lot of that to rest. I just don't question anything anymore. I'm just like, whatever. They're telling me you got to write a book. I'm not a writer. They'll make it happen. They'll bring somebody into my life that's going to facilitate that. It's going to help me with that.
Jack,
It's just going to happen.
Jack, your sound is off.
Okay. Lisamarie, when did you discover your healing gift?
I discovered it many years ago. I think the first time this brings about an emotional situation for me. The love of my life passed away many years ago. He died for good in, I think it was around 2000, the year 2000. But he had had a couple of near-death experiences before that he had told me about. And he told me that there was, after I had my experience, I thought of this, because this happened years ago with his experience, and I hadn't thought about it. And he told me that they're speaking another language. There's another language over there. And I said, oh, well, really? Whatever, And he started becoming, he was spiritual, but you could see the change in him. I saw the change in him after he had this experience. So anyway, whatever time elapsed, maybe a couple of years after that, he was in the hospital dying with a 10% chance of living. They told me in the family there was no hope. So I was standing there by his side, crying my eyes out. My mother had just died not long before this happened. My mother died tragically. So I said, oh God, please don't let him die. It's too close to my mother's death. And this voice came to me again, very strongly in my mind, and said, put your hands on his liver. He had liver failure, kidney failure, the whole works, on a life support. And this voice strongly said, put your hands on his liver and picture the white light and energy going through his liver. Now, funny story, because I'm not the only one in the room. His ex-wife was on the other side of the bed. And the whole hospital experience brought her and I so close. You know, everything happens for a reason. It's beautiful. And I'm so close to his sons, his family, his ex-wife, and I get invited to all the weddings as the kids grew up, and I'm going to another one of their weddings next month. So anyway, she's standing there. So I said, Nancy, do you mind if I do this? I'm being told to put my hands, you know, I want to pray for him or whatever. And she said, no, do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. So I put my hands on his liver, and I was picturing this white light and yellow light going through him. And all of a sudden, this sense of peace came over me, greater than anything. Now, this is long before NDEs. This was, you know, back in, you know, before 2000. And this peace came over me. And this peace said to me, he's going to live and he's going to make a full recovery. And I had that knowing, and I knew for a fact that that was the truth and that was going to happen exactly the way I heard it in my head. Now, mind you, I was at the hospital every night. You know, he was in ICU or whatever. It was a dangerous situation for weeks, and I was there every night. When that moment happened and that peace came over me, the peace stayed with me, and I had gotten the truth, and I went home and I was taking care of myself, catching up on my sleep, doing my own thing. And everybody was calling me, why aren't you here, Lisamarie? Why aren't you here? He's dying. He's dying. And I'm not sure if I told them or not what I had heard, because I didn't know if they would be able to accept that or if they would believe it or whatever. I might have told one of them, hey, I know he's going to make a full recovery. I'm just going to lay low right now and just take care of myself. And it wasn't long, maybe a couple weeks later, he was out of the ICU, and it was a slow. And then he was in another room and in the hospital. And then I finally went when he was able to talk. Long story short, he made a full recovery. And I knew from then on that something was going on. So then I was a little shy about it. Somebody would come to me wobbling into my house, one of my friends, and had, pain in the knee. And I said, oh, come, let me try this thing that I'm doing. And I put my hands and I pictured that energy going in, and the pain was gone. Somebody else came and had something wrong with their finger, pain in the finger. And I put my hand on the finger and I was able to locate. I said, no, it's really not coming from the finger. It's coming lower down here. That's where the root of it. And I pressed that, and they started screaming in pain. I said, that's where it's coming from. I was able to see that. So it all started. That's when I really started noticing, the healing abilities.
So your healing started around 2000, is that right?
It started, he died because he ended up dying a few years later. When I was saying that prayer and they were telling me to put my hands to do the healing, I said, if he's meant to die, give me a few years. 3 years later, he died. So it was a few years that we was in the hospital, a few years before the year of 2000, because he died May of 2000. Yeah. So, yeah, that's when I really noticed it and then started practicing that and just trusted instead of being, I have a way about me as with all these things I do. I'm a professional singer and all these things. I still feel humble, like a humble attitude. So I don't outwardly talk about this kind of stuff, about the healing and all that, unless I'm one-on-one in a session with somebody,
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Tina, your microphone is off.
Hi, Dave. You got a question?
David? Sorry. Thank you.
David, I don't think I answered all of your questions from before.
Your sound is off.
Oh, I thought I pressed my,
I
I've got a
know.
button here on my mic that's easier than going on the screen. So it's not really a question, but you said something and I want to make you an offer and I want to tell you why.
Sure.
I was very generous, in my lifetime and kind of gave away too much money and didn't think I'd be getting married and supporting somebody. So I got myself into financial trouble and I was desperately trying to get a job because my money was running out. I was afraid of losing my house.
Mhm.
And I got a really bad feel. I got this job at the post office and I just felt horrible about it. I felt like I wasn't supposed to do it. And the first day after work, I was up all night. I thought, should I try and stick with it? Should I quit? Because I knew, they're desperate for workers here. And they said, you're going to be working 8 to 14-hour days, 7 days a week for the foreseeable future. And I knew I was going to have to drop all my work with, near-death experience stuff and my Facebook group and my book and my
all your
podcast that I do.
all your spiritual work.
Yeah, getting the good message out there. And I asked Jesus, who I speak with on a regular basis. That it sounds crazy. I don't hear
Oh,
an
I love
audible
it.
thing, but he
I love
always
it.
makes me laugh.
Yeah.
but
He's very
anyway,
humorous. He's very humorous.
He is. He didn't answer me, and I was real angry. It's like, I'm tired of this cloak and dagger stuff. I need a clear answer, and I just mad. So I got up, and I thought, I'm just going to watch a movie. Maybe it'll take my mind off stuff so I can sleep. It's 3:00 in the morning. I put on this movie called Riff Tracks, where they make fun of blockbuster movies. And I turned on this one that I'd seen 5 or 6 times before. I don't know why I chose that one. I didn't like it that much. And then I did something I never do, which is I skipped the first third of the movie for some unknown reason. And within a minute, one of the guys made a joke about postal workers. And then a couple of minutes after that, and I'd seen this movie again 5 or 6 times, there was this woman. I barely saw these little earrings she was wearing. And for some reason I went, what? And I'm looking at the earrings. I had to take a screenshot and zoom in. Okay. And hopefully you'll be able to see this. This was her earring. Okay.
Oh.
This is the logo for my Facebook group and my website
Oh,
and book and all
wow.
that. And so that was a sign. And then I got this lucrative consulting job. And I was told by Spirit, the reason you have this is so you can continue doing this other stuff that doesn't make money. So you mentioned about publishing a book and you're going to be sent somebody to help. I would be happy to do that. I've been through the process. I can help you avoid the pitfalls. I won't ask you for a dime, just to thank you for being so supportive and get the good message out there. And so I will help you as much or as little as you want. We're connected on Facebook, so you can send me a message. I'll send you my phone number and email and all that.
Absolutely. That would be wonderful, Dave. I'm so happy to see your face in person because we're always back and forth and
Online, yeah.
on the same wavelength. We're always on that same wavelength. It's so nice to see you here.
Yes, we are.
love.
Thank you,
to-
David. That was very generous.
Yes, I would love. You see how it works? This is how it
See?
works.
Yeah,
folks.
yeah.
The divine timing, the divine assistance. It's always there, but it's the timing. Oh
And
my
I wouldn't have
God.
believed in coincidences. I would have called that a coincidence before, but thanks to all you wonderful people who have shared your near-death experiences with me, I know there are no coincidences. That was like a definite sign from the universe.
There are none. There are none.
Yeah, and it
there
was
are
like a
none.
week after I quit the post office, my one day at the post office, where the temporary consulting job I had, which was very lucrative, but not too many hours, said, we're going to give you some more hours. And he asked me for a 6-month contract. I'm like, okay, they're taking care of me, So thanks to you guys, I got the message. Otherwise, I'd have dismissed it as a coincidence.
It's been wonderful to get to know you, David.
I'm going
Well,
to bow
thankful
out
to be
and
here.
say goodnight to everybody. And I want to thank you for having me this evening. And it was a pleasure to hear from you, Lisamarie.
I loved
everybody-
your story too. I'm so glad that you told us your story. That was
Well,
fascinating. I
Thank
loved
you.
it.
And I might reach, well, I'd love to reach out to you, Lisamarie. If Lori's a really good friend of mine, my best friend, I'm sure she knows how to reach you.
Yes, she
But
does.
everybody have a blessed night. I love you
You
all.
too.
And I look forward to seeing you again. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you for
Bethany.
joining
Thank
us.
you, Bethany.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for your amazing testimony.
And
Yeah,
yours
Right.
it's
too.
amazing.
Good night.
Any
Good
other
night.
questions, comments?
Talking about the money, I think you mentioned, who mentioned the money? Was it David that spending money or something? In my NDE, I don't know why, but I was shown money in my hand and I let go of the bills and they dropped from my hand and I felt that money had no value. So after the NDEs, I started spending money like crazy. You know, money has value here. You know, we need money, it has value, but on the other side, money doesn't mean anything. Just made me think of that. Anybody have any questions?
Elizabeth, do you have any questions? Oh, Matthew,
Davis.
is it you again, Sharon?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
Hi, Sharon.
Love Sharon.
Hi.
Matthew's
now-
taking it all in. Yeah.
I love you, Sharon. I love you, Sharon.
Thank you. I wish he would ask a question. I just feel like he has a billion of them built up inside.
He's
But
very cool. He's very chill.
Yeah.
Right?
He's absorbing all the energy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do have I hope that the experience with myself, I've had many. I didn't say that, but I've had many, obviously, and I will continue to have them. And I just want to say that I understand that you almost have to go through a humbling to get there. And I've come to understand that over the last 4 or 5 years. And I just had to say that. That's all.
It's a funny, that humble thing is funny. I mean, I just discovered this about myself recently, and I've been having a problem the last several years with self-promotion.
Yeah, I've never promoted.
And I'm not good at that. But you know, a friend of mine who's a deacon friend of mine said he had the same problem, and then he had asked the question, am I doing this for myself or am I doing this for God? I said, that's a good one. Because I'm doing this not for myself, but I'm doing this for God and for people, to help people so they don't have to suffer and give them hope. So many people that have lost their children and their parents. Oh, you wouldn't believe the stories I hear on a daily basis, and they need hope. There's so many people that are also stuck. They don't have any spirituality. They have forgotten who they really are.
Right.
That we are these light beings full of love. And they're just going about their life the wrong way, having all this anger and grudges, and and they're not understanding that what I found out too when I was out of my body was we're all connected. And that's hard to believe when you see how a lot of people are here. It's hard to believe that we're all connected. But we are. So if I go to the mailbox here because I live in a condo, and I'm like, how could that person that's standing right next to me not feel energy and say hello? Because we're energy. We feel each other's energy to a certain extent. And if you want to do something not so great to somebody else, you're going to feel it. It's going to be on your conscience. It's something
It never dies on your conscience. That's true.
Yeah. And I always tell people, just be true to yourself and be true to others.
Right.
And to have that freedom, that spiritual freedom.
Absolutely.
Did you have a question, Sharon?
No, I just wanted to tell you that I felt that humbling as many years ago to, and not that I ever never put myself on a pedestal. I didn't even know I could pray for things for myself until I was well into my 50s. I always
Yeah.
prayed my entire life for someone else. I never knew that you could pray and ask things for yourself.
Yeah. I mean,
Do
I
it.
know a lot of near-death experiencers talk about, the non-religious side of, I obviously have proof that there are these divine beings exist. I
Right.
can't tell you if Jesus is the Son of God and things like that. I just know that they came to my assistance and I've had this experience. I've also had the experience of this infinite universe. Like I only saw a glimpse.
Right.
I want to know more about life on other planets and, deeper experiences than I've had. So
Right. Yeah.
It's limitless. It's just
Exactly. Yeah. It
it's
is.
just there's so much knowledge, things that we don't know, so much that we don't know.
That's true.
Yeah. So this humble
Thank you.
thing, yeah, it's good to be humble, but you want to also listen to what your path, what you're supposed to be doing,
Right.
what where you're supposed to be going, and just try to listen to the guidance and your own guidance. Your higher self is your greatest guide.
Right.
Have to decipher between the thoughts and the messages, and it takes practice.
Right. Right.
Practice. I mean, not everybody's meant to be a guru. It's not everybody's path to be a guru or to be a spiritualist or to be a minister. It's not
That's
everybody's
true.
path. It depends on what lifetime. I really believe in reincarnation in multiple lifetimes, because my life went by like that. It was like it was like meaningless. Not meaningless, but
Wow.
you know what I mean. It was just
Right. Right. Just so
Yeah.
quick.
yeah. So, who knows? Anything's possible in my mind. I don't question anything anymore. I don't question anything.
Well, Lisamarie, you are one of the few spontaneous NDEs. Most are either on the operating table or an accident or something. So that was
Yeah.
quite unique. We really appreciate your sharing it with us.
Thank you so much, Jack. I appreciate that.
Are there any other questions to ask Lisamarie?
Okay, David? Your sound is
Dang it, I
off.
forgot to do that again. I used to conduct meetings in my old job, and there was this one guy who he just keep asking questions, and I hated that guy because the meeting lasts forever, and I feel like I'm becoming that guy. So last one, I promise. I don't know who to ask, so this is for Lisamarie or anybody else who can address it. There's this psychic who knew a big secret about me. I swear I'd never tell anybody. And she knew a lot of stuff, and it really kind of freaked me out. And she told me that the Pleiadians want to activate my DNA. I have no idea how to do that. She may as well have been speaking in Chinese. Does anybody know
Yes.
what that means or what I'm supposed to do?
I don't know
Well-
anything about aliens or Palladians or anything. I don't know if Tina can help you with that. Can you?
David, I think it's time to talk again.
Okay, maybe we can talk after that, sometime after
I'll
the
text
meeting.
you. How's that?
Okay.
Very good.
Yeah, because I need help. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so we have about 15 more minutes. Comments, more questions, or Jack, do you think we should do the meditation, or what do you think?
Well, first let us thank Lisamarie for her
Oh, of
wonderful
course, yeah.
insight. We really appreciate it. It was excellent, and thank you in many ways.
Thank you.
And
You're welcome.
before we
My pleasure.
leave, Tina will take us through a brief guided meditation. Is there anything else, Tina, before we do that?
No, I just want to thank Lisamarie again for speaking for us, because these things are booked way in advance. And I've gotten an opportunity to get to know her really well, just like David over there. And the friendship will continue. So thank you again for that. And I will begin my meditation as soon as I go there. How's that? Thank you.
Tina, do you want to record the meditation?
It's fine with me if you want to.
Okay. And I apologize, my camera is not working, so I'm just a big talking bee tonight.
Okay, hold on. I'm going there. I think I'm going there. Hold on. Be patient. Okay. It's interesting. I'm still looking for it. Hold on.
Well, Tina,
Do you
sorry.
want to add anything else? Because I'm still not finding it.
Sharon, can you contact me on Facebook or something? Sharon there?
Yes, I was just going to ask you, would you mind? I was sitting here, should I say it? Should I not say it?
I just said it for you.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, we have one. We have it.
Okay.
We have it.
All right. We will do. I think we have the same address, right?
It's on the thing that Tina sent.
Okay. It's on Tina's site. All right. We got it.
Okay, good.
I will. I
I'd love
will.
to hear from you.
Okay, so
Thank you.
having a little problem finding the one that I selected, but it must be another reason for that. So let me just go in and see what I receive, okay? Just spontaneously. Okay. Now breathe. Take 3 long, deep breaths. And find yourself spontaneously in the middle of this flower patch. Beautiful wildflowers, all different colors. And there's a breeze, and you can see the flowers moving. And as you look further, you see a path going into the woods, and continue to go toward that path. You feel the crunch of all the leaves under your feet, and you hear the birds singing, and the breeze still moving the leaves on the trees, tall, tall trees. And as you continue to walk, you hear a very faint sound of running water. So as you get closer toward that path, there's a bridge. And as you walk toward that bridge, you hear the water even more clearer now, louder. So you continue and you start looking at the clear water with all the rocks, and it's in a brook that goes different ways. Then you notice that there is a boulder next to the water, and you sit there. As you sit there, the sound of the water and the clarity of the water is absolutely wonderful. It feels so great for you. And you hear the sounds of the water, the sounds of the birds. And as you continue to breathe, you feel very, very calm and warm. Then you close your eyes for a bit and you see all the different shades of color. And as you open your eyes and you look into this little pond formed by the water running, and you see a face in it, and it's not your face. It's the face of a divine entity. So as you look at it, you ask, who are you? And instinctively you receive the name that is specifically for you. So hear the name in your soul, who that entity is. It'll be different for every one of you. And as you do that, just know if it feels good in the pit of your stomach. Just fill yourself with gratitude. Ask, what is it that I need to know for my journey next? And always be in gratitude for everything that you receive. You sit there listening to all this wonderful sounds and the breeze touching your face in a wonderful way. Then you decide to get up and move backward toward the bridge, the flower field, and with gratitude, you allow yourself to be back and sitting on the chair that you're sitting at now. And thank the process, thank the experience. And remember, because this journey was so short, it's very easy to remember. Therefore, you can always do that as you're getting ready to go to bed, or as you feel like you're under stress at times. Just do it again and you will get even more clear information. Thank you all for joining me this evening.
Yeah. Thank you,
Yes.
Tina.
You're
Thank you,
very
Lisamarie. Thank you
I
all.
have something I want to say. I raised
Yes,
my
go
hand.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I just want to thank you all for being here. Everybody, I feel like everybody was here tonight, was meant to be here tonight.
For
It
sure.
made it fun. You guys made it fun. Everybody's stories that they had to add and the questions were so great. It just made it a beautiful experience for all of us. I really feel that. Thank you, Bethany,
Absolutely.
for all
It
your
was a joint
comments. I
venture.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you,
all.
Lisamarie.
Thank you, Lori. Laura, I want you to contact me. Sharon, I want you to
I will.
contact me. Dave,
I
we'll
will.
be in touch.
Okay.
Very good. We'll see
Definitely.
all of you hopefully next month, okay?
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Good night.
Thanks,
Peace and
Tina.
Bye-bye,
guys.
everybody.
Have a good night.
Bye.
You too.